here and violated our rules and paid for a round of golf and then flaunted the rules that are readily obvious now, and so there are no refunds. And that would go to any of the violations on here, though. That's not just this specific alcohol rule, but if you're involved in any sort of conduct that day that asks us to remove you or ban you from the course, you're not getting a refund. So don't partake in that sort of activity out there that requires us to do that. And so any future issues that we would have out at the course, do you cause a disruption? Again, let's say somebody ratcheted up and was arguing with the staff member, with the manager, and was like refusing to leave, and we had to call Sergeant Summerfeld out there to address them and ask them to leave. At that point, you're trespassing. That's why you're called the PD. Maybe we say you're done for the next 30 days, and if you had paid for extra rounds of golf or you have a pass, well, we're not refunding your portion of the pass for that 30 days.
Basically, if the police get called, then would be a likely outcome. We tried, it's just, at some point, it's just like any other business. If you think of it as a bar, and it is a bar, but if you think of it as a bar downtown, if there's an incident or altercation or someone's not complying with the staff, that's what you'd expect to happen. We just didn't have it spelled out, especially with the fact that it's a little bit different because you paid for the golf or you have a season pass, so you have money put into it already. How do we handle that? Do we give a refund or do we not? And so that's why we wanted to just clean this up. We wanted the staff to have clear guidance on how to handle these situations, and not only clear but uniform, so everyone, whoever's working, knows what the rule is, knows how to enforce the rule. And if that's the rule, then it would have clear signage as well, and we would notify, especially our members that are the season pass holders. We can send them a letter. I communicate with them usually about once a year anyway, with just some updates, so that everyone's on the same page and there's no surprises, and then go from there. But alcohol being brought onto a course is nothing new. Anyone who golfs knows that it happens. It happens to various degrees. And some would say there's sort of an understanding that you bring some and buy some, whatever that ratio is exactly, may be debatable, but that's not an uncommon thing. It's just we've seen it, kind of a proliferation of this as well, not just from people who are guests, but from some of our members, and that's kind of more disappointing, just because you would think that those would be the people that would be the ones to not just comply with our rules, but would actually help enforce it if they saw other people not complying. But at this point, we felt the best thing to do was to let the Parks and Rec Board have a look at it and then bring a recommendation to the council for consideration and then go from there. So happy to answer any questions or if you have any comments on this item.
Are we open to discuss anything other than the alcohol policy?
What's that?
On the code of conduct, is there something else we could bring up?
We have our proposal.
Okay, so.
What else did you have?
No, where it says golfers shall wear a shirt and pants or shorts, why can't a golfer wear a skirt?
That could be a friendly amendment.
We can change
It's a
that.
friendly amendment.
Well, there are women who wear skirts for certain religious purposes.
Yeah.
Cultural, religious, whatever.
I don't think there is anything.
That's a very good point.
I don't think there's anything magical about the code. I think this code was basically inherited, I believe, from before, and we probably haven't taken a good look at it.
Maybe we could update it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good catch. Is there anything else that you have?
No, I'm great, I'm good.
Okay.
Where do we see the future of food being out there? Can I bring that up?
We can just real briefly. I can just tell you that we do, and Jonathan can tell you, we occasionally get inquiries about it. One of the questions that always comes up is a condition of the kitchen, but specifically the hood. We did put a lot of money into renovating the kitchen, but apparently, and I didn't know this, but getting a hood to pass health inspection is a big deal. And anyone who's inquired as to whether they could put a restaurant or sell food out of there, ask that question. So we had to go through that process and get it certified more than once, I believe, to have that, right?
Yep.
More than once is because
Every year.
Every year, because that is a deal breaker, literally, for people wanting to utilize that space. So we've entertained various discussions. Sometimes they're not interested in selling food or selling alcohol. Sometimes they might be, but, you know, if we get a serious proposal and one that we feel is ready to bring to the council, we'll bring it to the council for consideration. We just haven't reached that point. We've talked about ourselves, you know, edging our way into that arena with maybe like a hot dog roller or some real basic food items, but right now our focus has just been on the course itself, physical course quality, as well as having the alcohol component. And so we're by no means professionals at running a business, and so we're kind of easing our way into that. So if we don't have, you know, serious options for someone else to come in, we'll continue to look at how we can maybe slowly expand, but we just don't want to get too far out of in front of our skis on something like this.
Question, we put all this money in there for our prior tenant, and we had to wait this whole time, so it did meet state requirements. So we have shortfalls in there now? After we put all that money?
After taking on the liquor license for 1 year,
No.
you made up your revenue to cover all your improvements in
Right,
1
yeah.
year.
I'm just saying, you know, we did all that work to that kitchen, so our prior tenant could open and serve food. So are we, is it compliant now, or is
Yeah,
it?
every year the hood needs to be recertified.
I understand.
And so that's
The
part of
fire,
it.
I mean, it's like a fire marshal thing, they all
Well,
have to come out and visit and go through a long process.
I just hope that we did everything correctly, so it.
Oh, we
I don't wanna
did.
speak for John, but it did pass certification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
I think
it's
that's what he's
certified right
getting to.
now.
Right.
It's
Right.
ready to go. We redid it again.
But
It
it's,
wasn't
it's the
sig-
first question we always get though.
I'm just saying,
And
it
so-
made me a little nervous, had
No,
to
no.
put all that money into
No,
it.
everything's fine. It's just the first question anyone who who has any kind of interest asks, and so we have to always make sure that that's current, because until we can answer that in the
Yeah.
affirmative, they're not willing to talk.
Right.
The other one is by taking over the liquor license, there are establishments that inquire and then they're like, well, we would like to have the liquor license. The problem with that is for the city, from a revenue perspective, you'll never make up the revenue we're making now from a lease situation. And they won't give you enough in a lease if they took over the alcohol to ever get our money back. So we would always be worse off financially. We do get inquiries where they are willing to not hold the liquor license, but the problem we get into is they want it to be sold while have their hours open. So if they operate a restaurant, when somebody come into a restaurant, they want to be able to buy a bottle of wine or get a glass of beer with their dinner. Our issue now is we're not open on the Gulf side during the winter. So we don't have anybody available that works for the city under the city liquor license to sell the alcohol.
Well, looks like we need a new plan.
So we're trying to like figure those logistics out.
It's complicated.
I just like to balance my alcohol and my food
Sure.
together.
No, I
like,
understand.
to get more sales out of me that way. So I'm just wondering if,
But
and you guys
just-
are.
And,
you're
and then the
doing a great
and then
job.
the last mix is trying to determine, do we want to be competing with, so somebody wants to come in, they want to operate a restaurant, they don't want the liquor license, but they want it available. They tend to be, if you're going to do that, you have to be a pretty significant restaurateur to not have the alcohol, but be able
Still
to,
make money.
but still make money. So you're a pretty big time restaurant tour. The question is, are we competing then with the other restaurant businesses in town, with them, with our facility out there, and how do you charge a lease rate then to not just be competing and subsidizing?
So we're
These-
still kind of working through some of those scenarios, but again, if we were gonna move forward with something, we would come to the council and you'd have an opportunity to decide what you think makes the most sense. It's just, right now, we're, you know, our best case scenario might just be our current scenario, which is having a liquor license, selling alcohol and not messing with food, just because the margins typically are gonna be considerably less, unless, we wanted to branch out and start doing small food items like, you know, burgers or, you know, things that aren't real complicated, because we also don't wanna, you know, with our staff, we don't wanna have, you know, we're not training, you know, chefs, we're just having to, you know, whether it's burgers or chicken strips or something very basic, that would be kind of our next step if we were gonna do it in-house, but it would be nice to have, you know, and everyone always says they want more restaurants in town, more sit-down restaurants, and so we always keep that in the back of our mind as well.
The other one is an option with food trucks, but there's just not enough. Those food trucks tend to work better if they have some visibility, so random people can go by and know that they're there. We don't get the volume on league nights and stuff that gets kind of a good guarantee to be viable for food trucks. We had them in the past, but sometimes they tend to be, they're the one-off, so.
As far as the item before us this evening, are there
It's
any other
fantastic.
questions or comments? As Kelly is staring me down.
Do we wanna make the friendly amendment to add skirts to it? Is that fair, Kelly?
Yeah.
Thanks, Kelly.
Skirts are
So
dresses,
move for
right?
an amendment.
So,
Move to adopt it.
what language, Kelly, would make the
What
most
language
sense?
makes most sense? Skirts, dress, I mean,
Look,
I would
Say
say
or
skirt
golf
slash
skirts.
dress.
there are no golf skirts, are there?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Oh,
a
yeah, there
specific
are.
thing.
Okay, but time out.
That's what happens, that's what happens.
Now we're into it.
Yeah.
I have, if I wanna go golfing and I'm not an avid golfer, I gotta go out and buy a golf skirt, I can't just wear a skirt?
no, I think you can
No,
say any
it's-
skirt.
Yeah.
Or shorts or pants or sport capris. I mean, it goes through a huge list.
Appropriate dress.
I mean,
Right.
I don't know,
Or
think
just
about this a little bit,
simplify
come up with
that.
something a little more.
I tell you what we could do is we could get a
Clothing.
draft, if you,
Yeah.
if you don't need it
Women,
tonight,
women,
we could get a draft
Yes.
done.
Add it with.
What's that?
Clothing, clothing,
Skirts.
period.
Yeah.
Appropriate clothing, would that be?
Appropriate clothing.
No, we're not
No.
giving Cody the authority to determine what is appropriate clothing. Sorry, Cody. I mean, we could add dresses or skirts, and I don't think anybody's gonna be offended on the golf course if dresses and skirts are
Alright,
good.
that's fine.
Okay. So we have the amendment, is there a second?
I'll second the amendment.
So we wanna do the amendment first, Kelly, and then do the,
I think you move to adopt it
as amended?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the motion from Ellen, right, and then seconded by Jessica. Is there any further discussion? Please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor are Wilkin, Beck, Colterman, Miller, Singleton, Hendricks. Passes 6-0.
Thank you. We next have the city administrator's report.
Yeah, I can answer any questions you have, and I need to prolong it. Traffic committee will be meeting later this week to review some of the odds and end items that we have and give you a recommendation on those. We had a really long discussion at department head about T intersections the other day, so that'll be fun. Continuing on the police officer one, we still remain to have one position open, so we will try to fill that and conduct testing in August. We have an appointment today to the assistant library position. That will be ultimately a promotion, and so we'll have an open full-time position at the library again that will go out for notice, so. And I can answer any other questions on stuff you have in the report.
Any questions or comments for Greg?
I have a couple, but I don't know if they were in your report. The house on Third and Bradford, what's the status on that for cleanup?
And I can answer that, it's supposed to be within the next 2 weeks with Andy losing his father, and then shortly right after that, then losing his brother, it's,
Absolutely, I
so,
just,
he knows, his obligation, and, he has, told us within the next 2 weeks.
And you get some other significant projects you're working on as well, so it's just more of a scheduling, but we'll continue to monitor it, and we hope that within the next, like John says, 2-3 weeks,
Yeah.
to see some progress there, and if not, we'll continue to explore.
could you have,
I think today, just today or yesterday, the street department went out there and pushed the rubble together so that the weeds and stuff could, and then Bob Core and his crew went out there and went to cut down the suckers and the weeds and tried to make it as nice as they could, so.
could you have Parks Department look at the retaining wall on the twoplex by the high school field? It looks like it was kind of glued together and it's kind of wobbly.
Okay.
motion and a second. Please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor are Wilkin, Beck, Colterman, Miller, Singleton, and Hendricks. Passes 6-0.
Do you have any future requests for council agenda items or administrative action? Seeing none, we have the announcement of upcoming events by Jonathan Jank.
Yes,
Welcome.
thank you, Mayor. We have our annual Business Anniversaries Luncheon this Thursday, the 22nd. Location's at the Civic Center to celebrate businesses in Seward County celebrating 5-year increment anniversaries. If you want to still attend, we've made a little bit of wiggle room for that, so please let us know and make sure and get you registered. Our organization is hosting a housing summit on Thursday, July 29th. This will be in the new Dunklau Center at Concordia University's campus. We'll be hosting attendees from all around the state to discuss the housing themes of availability, affordability, and sustainability. And if you do want to register for that, please let us know. After the housing summit, we will be hosting a thank you reception at Bottle Rocket Brewery for those who invested in the Rural Workforce Housing Fund to show our appreciation. Quick reminder, we created a $1.2 million Rural Workforce Housing Fund to encourage the construction and rehabilitation of affordable housing across Seward County. And the City of Seward, through the LB 840 Fund, was one of the investors. If you'd like to join in the celebration and thank you reception, please let me know and I can give you more details. And also for your information, the Rural Workforce Housing Fund application is now officially open. Please encourage housing developers to consider applying for these funds so we can build affordable housing across Seward County. And lastly, after the Rural Workforce Housing Fund, we actually have 5 meetings that day. The Rural Workforce Housing Fund thank you reception, we are hosting a downtown building and business owners meeting at 6 p.m. to discuss priorities for the Phase 3 grant application of the Downtown Revitalization Program through the Nebraska Department of Economic Development. Also, we'll be discussing historic preservation as part of the meeting, which is discussed in the City of Seward's Downtown Revitalization Plan. And based on tonight's discussion, we'll be talking about repairing sidewalks in the downtown district.
And maintaining sidewalks.
Yeah, and maintaining sidewalks, yes. Tim just got added to our agenda planning meeting for that. And we've sent a calendar invitation to 150 business and building owners and other downtown partners, but some people don't have email addresses to communicate with. So please invite all downtown building and business owners in the historic downtown district to participate and spread the word about this upcoming meeting. And with that, that's all I have. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Jonathan. Next we have a strategy session with city attorney to provide negotiation guidance concerning real estate interests at the commercial rail campus development area.
I move that the city council go into closed session with the mayor, city administrator, city clerk, city attorney, and Jonathan Jank for the protection of the public interest, and to discuss the real estate interests at the commercial rail campus development area, and to provide city attorney with negotiation guidance for a period not to exceed 30 minutes.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor are Wilkin, Beck, Colterman, Miller, Singleton, and Hendricks. Passes 6-0.
The council has voted to go into closed session for the protection of the public interest to discuss the real estate interest for construction. Oh, this is a different one. Real estate interests at the commercial rail campus development area and to provide the city attorney with negotiating guidance for a period not to exceed 30 minutes. We are in closed session.